Hi guys, this is Mike and this will be a shootout between 8 different delay pedals. So I think I've got a pretty interesting selection of delay pedals here. We have old pedals, new pedals, we have mono pedals, stereo pedals, and we even got an analog bucketry gate pedal here, right? And you know what, let's actually start with a small introduction round so you know what these pedals are and what they can do. Let's start with the oldest pedal in the shootout, which is the Boss Digital Delay DD3. So this is the follow-up basically to the DD2, which, as you might know, came out in 1983 and was the first compact digital delay pedal. Before that, people had to use like huge 19-inch rack units if they wanted to have digital delay, right? And so Boss came out with this, the predecessor of this pedal, and basically revolutionized the industry, I think it's fair to say. In 1986, the DD3 came out, the follow-up to the DD2. And yeah, as you can see, it's a pretty basic pedal. Basically, we have no, we have no tone control, we have no modulation, we have no tap tempo, right? So you set the tempo with the delay time control here. The only thing that's basically a special feature, and I think it's still pretty cool that they did that back in the day, is the hold function, which is basically a freeze function, right? So you press the switch down and then you have a small loop of the last thing that you played and you can play over that, right? Sound wise, it's a pretty straightforward pedal, to be honest. They went for the cleanest, clearest sound possible, but this is a 12-bit delay, so you will hear a little bit of sound degradation, a little bit of bit crush in the repeats. You know what, let's actually try it out quickly. Effect level is set to 12 o'clock, as is the feedback. Yeah, so as I said, pretty clean, pretty clear. Let's turn the effect level to 3 o'clock. Let's see what happens there. By the way, I suggest you listen to this video with headphones, simply because of the stereo functionality of some of these pedals. Yeah, so there's a little bit of sound degradation going on. But actually it's not too bad, right? Pretty impressive for such an old pedal. Let's actually try quickly the hold function. Yeah, so works as well, pretty nice. Yeah, pretty cool pedal for that time. A mono pedal, of course. And let's go to the second mono pedal in the shootout, the Walrus Audio Arp 87. So I tested a couple of mono pedals in my time and I decided on this one. So this is my pedal as opposed to the DD3, which I borrowed from a friend. Yeah, so the Arp 87 is a pretty cool, pretty impressive pedal, I have to say. Just compare the sizes, it's pretty much the same. Right, so it's a standard Boss size pedal, but it has so much functions on there. It has a tap tempo, it has subdivisions, it has a modulation, it has a tone control, level, repeats. It has 4 programs, which is pretty cool. So it has a delay, a digital setting, an analog, a tape, and a slapback setting. And I read on the internet that there's actually a 5th hidden function that you have to access by pressing like different combinations of the buttons or something. I never tried that, I have to be honest, simply because I'm totally satisfied with how the pedal sounds as it is, especially the analog setting, I have to tell you, I really like. Let's quickly test the pedal. Yeah, let's start with the digital delay. Yeah, I'll set the level to 100%. I'm overdoing it, but so we can hear something. So that was the clean sound. Now let's turn in the modulation, again 100%. Of course, you can dampen the repeats. You can brighten them up, right? So pretty cool, a lot of functionality on this pedal. Let's quickly go to the analog setting. Let's turn the modulation down actually. So that's my favorite sound. I always have the modulation set to 12 o'clock, a little bit brighter at around 2 o'clock. Yeah, beautiful. Tape delay is also pretty cool. And the slapback, which I have to be honest, I never used. Yeah, so it's a pretty reverb-like sound, right? As mentioned, the analog is my favorite, totally satisfied with the sound. The other thing that's pretty cool about the Walrus Audio Arp 87, it has a freeze function, which works kind of like the on the Boss DD3. But what's cool is that not only you have a loop of the things that you just played, but what you play over that is also like inserted into the loop. And you can basically create this huge wall of sound, right? I will try to do that with one hand, basically. Let's see how I manage. Yeah, so just a small demo of that, right? But pretty cool. I really like this pedal. This is one of the cheaper ones here. It's definitely cheaper than all of those here. Pretty cool. Of course, the only thing that's a little bit annoying is that it's a mono pedal, right? But yeah, let's go to the first stereo pedal in the Shootout, which is the Boss Delay Machine DM101, a pretty new pedal, came out 2023. I especially like all the stereo sound modes or programs, let's call them. And by the way, I actually made a whole video about the DM101 of all the things that I like, of all the things that I don't like. So I suggest if you are really interested in this pedal specifically, maybe go and watch that video. I will post it in the top right corner. It has basically, in my opinion, it's a one-trick pony. It has one sound with 12 different flavors, but that sound is awesome. It's a real analog bucket brigade sound, right? So let's check it out quickly. Let's start with the doubling plus delay setting. Yeah, really nice. Again, listen with headphones, because then you can really hear what these pedals do in stereo. Nice as well. That was the white mode. Now we come to the dual mode. Sounds pretty nice as well. The pan is one of my favorites. Yeah, Really like the pan setting, and the pattern is pretty interesting. It's basically you have different variations of patterns there. It's also a true stereo setting. Also, I quite like it. Yeah, pretty cool. We'll come back to that later. Now, the Keeley Halo Andy Timmons Dual Echo. So bear with me. I was watching YouTube one day and I discovered, by a recommendation, I discovered the Keeley channel, and I was watching all those videos that Andy Timmons did demonstrating this pedal. Andy Timmons, of course, being the great guitar player that he is, he could even make like an empty Coke bottle sound nice, I guess. But, you know, this pedal sounded awesome in those videos, right? And so I ordered it and I had it now for like 2 weeks. And I have to be honest, I expected something a little bit different for 2 reasons. First of all, I was under the impression that this is like a multi-effects delay, like the Wampler Metaverse or the Strymon Audio Nemesis delay. So as you can see, these two have this dial here with very different sound engines, with their very different programs, but that is not that, okay? So number one. Number two is, I thought, because it's called a dual echo, and the Strymon Dig, which is my pedal, is called a dual delay, right? Echo, delay, basically the same thing. And what this Strymon does is having like basically giving you 2 taps of delay, which you can choose to have in a ping pong configuration, in a series configuration, or my favorite, in a parallel configuration. So we have 1 delay on the left side, 1 delay on the right side. You have 2 mix controls for both. You have 2 time controls, right? And so on and so on. Total independent, basically, you can make them. That's not the case on the Halo as well. Right. So what the Halo does and what their definition of a dual echo is basically imagine having 2 DD3s next to each other. You set the first one like this, the second one like this, and then you can change from one to the other. Right. So this is basically that. Right. It's 2 delay pedals in one. Right. Setting tap tempo is a little bit awkward because you have to press the button for like 2 seconds and then you can tap in the tempo. Then you have to wait until it returns to the normal mode again. But what I actually like and what I pretty much admire about this design is they gave you pretty powerful tools to shape the sound of your delays. Right? So that's a little bit of a different approach to all the other delays in the Shootout. So what they did, you not only have a tone control, but you only have a high pass filter, right? For example. So that alone is a pretty powerful tool set to totally change the sound of your delays, okay? Next up, we have the level control, and as the secondary function, we have a saturation control. Again, you can go from crystal clear repeats to pretty much very distorted repeats, right? And so that is kind of like a little bit of a tweaker stream, I should say. So if you like the tweaker sounds, you know, this pedal does come loaded with presets, and you can save your own presets. But I think this is the perfect pedal for someone that likes to tweak sounds, right? So let's actually go to the very first bank, to the very first preset, which is the Andy Timmons Halo setting. So listen how it sounds. Right? And now let me quickly do something else. I will make them crystal clear, the repeats. And now I will do the exact opposite. I will dial in the saturation to 100%, okay? Right? So as you can hear, it's a pretty powerful engine that lets you totally change the sound, and I actually really like that. Having said that, there are a couple of things that I actually don't like, but maybe we'll talk about that later. Now you know what this is. Let's go to the Wampler Metaverse. This is basically the exact opposite of the Halo. There is no secondary functions, not a lot at least. You can do everything on the front here. You have the modulation, the mix, the tone, the feedback, the delay, and of course you have 12, I think, 10, 12, 11 different delay engines, right? So let's quickly go through some of them. Let us start with the analog setting here. Let me turn up the mix a little bit. I'll give it more feedback. This is the wet mode. The Bucket Brigade mode. Sounds nice. There's a little bit of artificial noise there, but I like it. In my opinion, one star of the show is the dog and the ethereal. Right, that was the dog, and let's go to the ethereal mode. The space echo is nice as well. Okay. So yeah, that's basically Wampler Metaverse. Has stereo inputs, stereo outputs. You know, there's no hidden functions as far as I can tell. I do have the manual here, so I can check everything, right? There's a little bit that you can do with the preset functions here. You can change the subdivisions by pressing this button down. And I think on the ethereal, you have a couple of different sound modes there. But you know, this is not a deep dive on the Wampler Metaverse. This is basically still the introduction round. Let's go to the Nemesis delay, which is pretty much like the Wampler, except that you have the possibility for deep editing, basically. You can do it on the unit itself. You can save up to 8 presets. But the really cool thing about, again, if you are a tweaker and you like to tweak your sound, the really cool thing about this, you can hook this up to your PC or Mac. There's an editor there, or you can even use your cell phone. Which is pretty sophisticated, and I haven't seen again actually, and yeah, and totally change every parameter of this pedal, right? Of these sounds, basically. There's 3 different parameters for your modulation. You have wow, you have flutter, you have a high pass filter there, you have a treble control, a bass control, you have everything, right? So you can totally change up the sounds of these programs if you want to. You don't have to do that, This pedal comes preloaded with 12 different programs, sound modes, and there are 14 more on the Source Audio app or editor, right? Which you can load into your presets. And I actually have 6 presets here, so let's quickly go through them. Let's start with number 1, which I think is an analog setting. Sorry for my playing, I'm not really that focused on my playing. I'm always thinking about what I want to say next, yeah? And we'll make a quick comparison round, right, after this introduction round. Yeah, that was preset number 1. These are all my presets. This is a noise step preset that I made. Sounds really nice. This is, I think, an oil can mode. Okay, let's go to the next one. I have no idea what this is. Sounds pretty nice, pretty lush. Number 5. Yeah, so that is based on the diffuse, and now I have an analog setting on preset number 6 that I think I pretty much totally destroyed the signal, yeah? I tried to go as dirty as possible, and this is the result. Again, sorry for my playing. I have no idea what I'm playing. It doesn't matter really. This is still just the introduction round. So yeah, Nemesis delay. My pedal had it for like 5 years, and I actually made a shootout a couple of years ago on this very channel. I will try to post the link on the top right corner, where I tested the Nemesis versus the Strymon Dig versus an old Keeley pedal that wasn't great, I remember, versus I think the Boss DD500. And in the end, I decided to keep those two because those are pretty much the same but different, right? I mean, they're pretty, they're pretty different actually. They're both digital pedals, but other than that, actually, they're pretty different, right? So this is a darker sounding pedal with a lot of effects, and this is a brighter sounding pedal, a more hopeful sound, I would say, with just basically one sound, which gives you different flavors, right? So this is a dual digital delay, kind of like the DD3. They went for a pretty straight, basic digital delay sound in 3 different flavors again, and with a beautiful sounding modulation. That's the main reason why I really like this pedal. The modulation gives the signal this depth and this width, which I really love, right? So let's try out that pedal quickly. Oh, yeah. And as you can hear already, if you're listening with headphones, we have a true stereo signal that's not ping pong as on the Nemesis delay, but in parallel, right? So tab number 1, you know what? Let me just quickly demonstrate that. So this is just tab number 1, which is set to quarters. Right? This is just tab number 2, which is set to dotted 8s. Right? And these are both at the same time. We are on the 12-bit engine, which is a little bit softer than the 2496, and we have the modulation engaged to the strongest, deepest setting. Yeah, that is for me like the classic Strymon sound, right? This hopeful, like uplifting, cheerful sound that only Strymon can do, I feel, right? I mean, the Halo comes pretty close and sounds awesome as well. We'll talk about my opinion later, but that's the modulation, I think. The main part of that is the modulation, right? Let's quickly test out this pedal without modulation. With. Yeah. Anyways, let's go to the last pedal, Strymon Brigadier, which is a digital recreation emulation of an analog bucket brigade delay, right? Again, very cool pedal. I will say that easier to set up, I think, than the Dig. Because you don't have 2 taps, just one. You tap in the tempo. You have the subdivisions here, right? You have the mode. Let's go to long. We don't need that. Dum, 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 dum. Bucket loss, mod, you know, everything is pretty much self-explanatory. Again, I think the modulation or even the sound is pretty Strymon typical, like this hopeful, uplifting sound sounds pretty cool in my opinion. There is a hidden function beneath the bucket loss. Let's actually try the bucket loss. So this was without. 12 o'clock. Turned up full. Yeah, so as you can hear, they introduce a little bit of white noise there, right? Which again is supposed to simulate what real analog Bucket Brigade pedals do. What is also cool, they have a tone filter underneath there. Let's try that quickly. So totally dark. Middle position. And turned up fully. Yeah. Right? So I think 12 o'clock is actually pretty nice. Sorry, but you can tell I like this pedal. It has a really nice sound. Does it sound as nice as this pedal here? Let's do the same thing. Dotted eighths. Right? Sounds a little bit different. Yeah, so you'll be the judge of that. And you know what? I actually like this tone sample that I had. So let me quickly set up these pedals to how I really like them. Let's quickly make a tone comparison round, right? Where I will not talk anything, I'll promise. And after that, I'm going back to talking and I'm going to tell you what I like about these pedals, what I don't like about these pedals, and basically my opinion on them, right? Okay, so let's do this.